A rusted sewer grate is pulled open, and Tyrell drops through first. Paul is lowered down after him, carefully, until his feet hit the ground with a soft thud. Sashi comes down last with his backpack. Their flashlights sweep across wet stone and pipes as they move deeper into the sewer. Geiger counters are clipped to all three of their waists, but none of them make a sound. Their boots splash through ankle-high water, while Paul's fingers twitch in slow circles. After walking in silence for a while, Sashi finally speaks. "Those photos you found." Tyrell looks up at him, and Sashi continues. "The one in my place. That wasn't my father and grandfather. That was my father and my brother. They talked about this shit like it was war medals, defeating a restless soul, glory, honor, all that crap. They never made it past research. My father thought I was just background noise. Wrong son, wrong wiring." Tyrell watches him. Sashi's continues. "They both died doing smaller things, lesser things. Their names still get talked about in some circles. Not mine." He looks ahead. Fog has found its way into the sewer too, creeping slowly through the tunnel. "This thing, Ellie, it's mine. Not to carry the torch, to burn the fucking forest down." They reach a junction, and Sashi stops long enough to mark a large X on the wall with chalk. Then they keep moving. One step, then another, deeper into the tunnels and closer to the thing waiting for them. Eventually, a sewer grate creaks open above. Tyrell climbs out first, covered in sweat, and scans the abandoned town around him. Empty buildings line the streets. Paul tries to climb out behind him. His fingers flutter as he grabs the ledge. He pulls himself up, but his grip slips. Tyrell turns and sees him struggling. He immediately drops to one knee and holds out his hand. "Come on." Paul stares at the hand for a second. Then he takes it. Tyrell pulls him up carefully and helps him onto the street. Paul gets to his feet and gives Tyrell a single nod. He doesn't say anything, but Tyrell blinks at the gesture. That one nod means more to him than any medal ever could. Sashi climbs out last and catches the moment. He looks at Tyrell, then at Paul, and quietly smiles to himself. The three of them move quickly through Darfling, passing wrecked cars and boarded-up shops. Thick fog covers the streets, but the Geiger counters remain silent. They stop outside an old stone apartment building with smashed windows. Sashi stands at the gate. "This is it. Ground zero." Tyrell studies the building, then turns to him. "How the hell do you know that?" Sashi answers without hesitation. "Because this was her place, Ellie's, where they found the body, 2 weeks after she died, alone." Tyrell looks back at the apartment door. Then he pushes it open. Inside Ellie's apartment building, the three men move carefully through the dark, taking one silent step at a time. Back at the command post, Junior Officer Lane watches the city skyline through a pair of binoculars. Radio static runs in the background until his phone rings. He answers immediately. "Ma'am." Lane listens. "Yes, ma'am. They left." Another pause. "No, ma'am. They didn't suit up." He listens again, then explains. "The Indian guy said either they burn it all out or they don't come back. Wearing hazmat won't matter." Lane waits for the response. "Yes, ma'am. I'll relay any movement." He lowers the phone but keeps his eyes on the city, waiting to see if something moves, and hoping nothing does. The door to Ellie's apartment creaks open. Inside, mold has spread across the walls. Burnt wires hang among peeling wallpaper, and a broken lamp sits untouched. A child's drawing is still taped to a cracked wall. In the corner, an old wheelchair has started to rust. Sashi heads straight for the bathroom. Tyrell follows, scanning the apartment as he moves. Paul comes in last. His fingers spin in small loops, then pause. In the bathroom, Sashi turns on the faucet. The rusty pipes shudder before water finally coughs out. Slowly, the bathtub begins to fill. Sashi watches the water and says, "No bruising, No heat, just silence. That's how you leave gently. That's how you get the memo without enjoying it. Tyrell hears him, and he understands exactly what Sashi means. Soon, Geiger counters are placed throughout the living room. One sits on a bookshelf, another rests on the windowsill, a third is hidden behind the old television. Paul stands near the bathroom door, watching the bathtub. His fingers begin twitching faster. Then, the Geiger counter by the window comes alive. Everyone freezes. Sashi looks toward it and immediately understands. She's coming in by the window. He gently takes Paul by the arm and leads him over. Just stand here, okay? Paul breathes. His hands finally stop moving. Sashi and Tyrell back away, standing behind him with their backs toward the apartment door. And behind them, Ellie appears. Barefoot, long hair, her face has no skin left. She moves backward up the wall, then continues across the ceiling. Sashi and Tyrell wait. Suddenly, every Geiger counter starts shrieking. They spin around, then look up. Ellie is directly above them. Their skin turns red, then redder. Blisters begin forming across their bodies as their eyes fill with water. Both men start trembling. Ellie watches from the ceiling. Sashi and Tyrell collapse to their knees, suffocating as their bodies begin to break down. Tyrell claws at his throat. Skin flakes away beneath his fingers, and every cough sounds worse than the last until blood sprays across the floor. Sashi digs his nails into his own chest. He tries to stop, but his hands keep moving. His fingers carve deeper and deeper until they reach bone. Tyrell's teeth chatter violently, then crack. They splinter inside his mouth, and he spits pieces of enamel onto the floor. Sashi tries to crawl away, but his knees suddenly twist backward. His joints bend in the wrong direction. Above them, Ellie begins to descend through the ceiling. Her face stops inches from Tyrell's. Her skinless grin stretches wider. Black gums surround a split tongue, cracked and dry. Tyrell's body jerks upward as his ribs push against his shirt. He screams. He slams both fists against the floor, again and again. His skin splits open with every strike. Sashi's eyes roll back as blood runs from them. His wrists hang loose while broken bone tears through the skin. Near the window, Paul remains frozen. His fingers start twitching again. Faster, faster. Ellie lowers herself into Tyrell. Inside him, Tyrell convulses. His eyes bulge and his face turns purple. Sashi watches him and cries out, his voice breaking. Stop! Take me! Not him! Ellie appears upside down in front of Sashi, staring directly into his eyes. Tyrell collapses. He's twitching, gasping, but alive. Sashi's jaw suddenly locks. His teeth snap shut, and he screams through the blood. The Geiger counters explode. Glass shatters across the room as sparks spit into the air. Sashi shakes on the floor, bleeding and broken, while his body continues moving against his will. Ellie appears again, moving backward across the ceiling. Her head tilts as she stares down at the two men. Then Paul steps forward. He places himself between them. He doesn't speak. All that comes out is a guttural, cracked sound. Tyrell sees him. Tears run from both his eyes, and Ellie disappears. Paul twitches, then goes still. His arms fall to his sides. A moment later, they rise again. But the movement isn't Paul's. His eyes open, glassy and blank. His fingers curl into unnatural shapes. Ellie is inside him. Tyrell sees the change immediately. Paul convulses. Tears spill from his eyes, but he doesn't scream. His entire body trembles until he finally collapses. Through the pain, Sashi shouts, "Now! Now!" He grabs Paul and tries to lift him, but his broken knee and wrists give out. "Tyrell!" Tyrell crawls toward them. Together, they drag Paul across the apartment. Paul writhes in their hands. His fingers twist violently and blisters spread across his skin. But somehow they get him into the bathroom. The bathtub is full. The water is still. They try to lower Paul into it, but he fights them. He thrashes, kicks, screeches. They struggle to hold him. Then, eventually, Paul stops. His eyes roll back. His limbs go slack. Sashi tries again, gently this time, and lowers him into the bathtub. Tyrell kneels beside them, his hands shaking. Sashi pushes Paul's head deep beneath the water. Paul jerks. Bubbles rise to the surface. He fights. He kicks. More bubbles. Then, nothing. Sashi closes his eyes, unable to look at what he's just done. The bathtub suddenly cracks. Water floods across the bathroom floor, carrying Paul's body with it. When the water stops moving, Paul remains motionless. Sashi watches him, afraid to believe it actually worked. Tyrell stares down at the body. He's seen this before. He lifts Paul and carries him back into the living room, then lays him on the floor. Paul isn't breathing. Tyrell immediately starts CPR. Sashi stares at him. "What are you doing?" Tyrell continues the chest compressions. This body's foreign to Ellie. It doesn't belong to her. Sensing death, she releases, moves on. Peace. Tyrell looks down at Paul's blistered face. "But you belong in here." Tears fall from Tyrell's eyes. His voice breaks between breaths. "Not this time. Not again." He breathes into Paul's mouth. Nothing. Sashi watches from the floor. "That's not... Paul's soul might be gone too." Tyrell tries again. "You don't know that. I know he's still in there." He pushes down on Paul's chest. Again. Again. Then Paul gasps. Tyrell leans back. For a moment, there's nothing but relief on his face. Then Paul convulses. This isn't breathing. This isn't life. His body jerks violently, pulled by something inside him. His head whips backward and his eyes turn completely white. A scream tears from his mouth. But it isn't Paul's scream. It's Ellie's. Then the scream suddenly goes silent, even though Paul's mouth remains open. His limbs twist. Bones stretch beneath his skin. His flesh begins to boil. His teeth hit the floor. And Paul's bloody mouth smiles. His spine bends backward. Sashi backs into the wall and stares at him. He finally understands. He lost. Tyrell blinks and crawls toward Paul. He reaches him and pulls him into his arms. Sashi watches from nearby, terrified as Paul's body snarls and fights against Tyrell. Ellie is still inside him, and every movement carries her rage. But Tyrell holds Paul close. "Ellie, stop!" Paul jerks in his arms. He shrinks away from Tyrell and tries to tear himself free. Tyrell refuses to let go. "You don't have to do this." Cracks spread across Tyrell's skin. More blisters form, blood gathers at the edges of his mouth, and boils rise beneath his shirt. Still, he hugs Paul tighter. He doesn't flinch. Tyrell shouts, "You didn't die because of pain. You died because no one was there to tell you to stop." Paul's fingers twitch. "And that's worse." The lights flicker. Paul screams again, but the sound has changed. The rage is gone. Now it sounds painful. Tyrell keeps talking. "Because if someone had seen you, considered that you mattered, they would have helped. Could have said, 'You're not okay. Let me help.'" His body gives out, and he collapses to his knees while still holding Paul. His voice begins to break. "But no one did." Tyrell swallows hard. "So the pain became your friend, the one thing that stayed. That made you feel something. At least something was real." Paul's mouth trembles. This isn't Ellie's rage anymore. Something has changed. Tyrell looks at him. "You were never the monster. You were the silence that happens when people look away." He lowers his head for a moment. When he raises it again, his voice is steadier. I know, because I was one of them. Tyrell pulls Paul even closer. Not for you, for someone else. Someone who needed me to stay, and I didn't. Now Tyrell is crying. Needed me to say, you matter, I love you. Sashi watches them. Tears gather in his eyes too. Tyrell continues. I thought if I didn't say anything, it would fix itself. That if I kept things clean, if I stayed cold, I wouldn't break. His voice drops. But he did. Sashi wipes the tears from his face. Tyrell holds Paul and finally says everything he needs Ellie to hear. I'm sorry. I am sorry. You should have been cared for, because you do matter. You should have known love. You should have known respect. I am sorry, Ellie. But Paul here doesn't deserve this. Tyrell stares directly into Paul's white eyes. He doesn't need to carry this. He already has someone. Someone who cares for him, respects him, loves him. Tears pool in Paul's eyes. Maybe they belong to Paul. Maybe they belong to Ellie. Tyrell doesn't know. He got the father I should have been. Someone you should have had. Paul's body stops convulsing. Completely. Tyrell keeps holding him. But if you still need the pain, if you still need to leave scars to feel seen, then I'm right here. Tyrell closes his eyes. Paul closes his too. Take it from me, but let him go. Tyrell hugs him tighter than ever. For a moment, both of them are still. Then the floor shakes. Dust falls from the ceiling. Paul's eyes suddenly open. Black. Empty. His head jerks backward as veins spread up his neck. Then his entire body snaps away from Tyrell's arms. Paul flies straight upward. His feet leave the ground and his body jerks in midair as something pulls him by the spine. He slams into the ceiling with a sick crack, then drops flat onto the floor. The roof explodes. Sashi flinches and crouches, covering himself as debris falls outside the apartment. When he looks up, the roof is gone. The open sky is visible above them. Tyrell's body begins to contort. Violent spasms tear through him before he finally collapses. Then everything stops. Sashi looks at the room. Paul is unconscious. Tyrell is unconscious. Blood covers the floor. Sashi looks around, searching every corner, unsure if Ellie is still there, or if he's next. Tyrell? Tyrell? No response. Paul? Paul blinks. His fingers twitch, then his eyes open. He looks around until he sees Tyrell lying nearby. Paul immediately crawls toward him. He starts CPR. One push, two, then a breath. Nothing. Paul checks Tyrell's pulse. He checks again. Still nothing. He looks around in panic, then forces himself back into the rhythm and keeps going. Sashi stumbles toward them, bloodied and limping. He drops to his knees beside Paul. Together they work. One pushes, the other breathes. Tyrell doesn't respond. His skin is pale. His lips are getting darker. Sashi looks down at him. Come on, man. Another compression. Another breath. Nothing. Then Tyrell jolts. He coughs, gags, chokes. Air finally enters his lungs. Tyrell gasps again and again, breathing as if he's doing it for the first time. His eyes flutter before slowly opening. He's alive. Sashi stares at him. Stubborn fucking bastard. Paul sits back, his arms shaking. He gives a small nod, and for a moment, there's a flicker of pride on his face. Tyrell turns toward him. He's exhausted. His skin is cracked. His body is barely holding together. But for the first time since meeting Paul, Tyrell sees him smile. Tyrell smiles back. Then he pulls Paul into a tight hug. This time, there's no pain. Tyrell looks over at Sashi. He hugs him too. After a moment, Tyrell manages to stand. He looks around the destroyed apartment. Thank you, Ellie, and I'm sorry. He wipes a tear from his face, then hugs Sashi again, and suddenly, the two of them start laughing. Paul watches them, confused. Then he joins in. The three men laugh together. Their laughter can still be heard as the fog begins to lift from Darfling. Tyrell, Sashi, and Paul walk side by side through the quiet streets. All three are limping. They're bruised, burned, and barely holding themselves together, but they're alive, and they're still grinning. Sashi pulls out his phone and makes a call. Inside her office, Ms. Brown answers. She listens. There is no smile. She simply gives a single nod, then knocks twice on her desk. Cold. Complete. By the next day, Junior Officer Lane is watching from the command post when he sees three figures approaching. He lowers his binoculars, then runs toward them. Outside tent number 4, John stands alone until he turns and sees Paul. He freezes. Tears fill his eyes. He covers his mouth, trying to hold back a gasp. Paul doesn't say anything. He simply nods and limps toward him. John collapses into a hug, and Paul hugs him back. Then John turns to Sashi and Tyrell and hugs them too. Later, Paul, Tyrell, and Sashi lie in 3 hospital beds, all of them heavily bandaged. They talk and share stories together. Sashi looks at the others and says, "Miracle worker. Miracle worker? Really?" They laugh. All 3 of them. Paul laughs even louder than the rest. Sometime later, Tyrell stands outside Dorothy's house with his hands in his pockets and bandages covering his face. Dorothy opens the door. Tyrell gives her a small apologetic smile. She looks at him, then allows him inside. Together, they light a single candle. Beside it is a photograph of their son, Luke. At his own place, Sashi stands in the clean, ordered room and looks at the photograph of his father and brother. He burns it. Then he reaches beneath his mattress and pulls out the heavy stitched book. He places it inside a backpack and leaves without looking back. Soon, Sashi is standing in line at the departure gate of Kolkata Airport. Elsewhere, a grill smokes in the corner of a suburban backyard. Vegetables, corn, and chicken cook over the flame, while Tyrell stands beside the barbecue with tongs in one hand and a beer in the other. He glances over his shoulder. Tables, chairs, people talking, laughing, and eating together. Dorothy is chatting with John. Paul sits nearby, drawing on a napkin with a quiet smile. Then someone steps onto the patio. Sashi, fresh off a flight. Tyrell sees him and immediately pulls him into a hug. Sashi hugs him back. He meets everyone else, and soon he's part of the gathering. Conversation continues around the tables. People laugh as the sun lowers. There are no ghosts here, just people, together. Somewhere else, Ellie stands barefoot in an empty void. There are no wounds on her body, no scars, no pain, only confusion. In front of her is a small kitchen table. 2 cups are waiting. A woman sits with her back toward Ellie. Then she turns around. It's Mrs. Pierce, her mother. Mrs. Pierce looks at her with a gentle face. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Ellie's breath catches. Tears fill her eyes as she begins walking toward her mother. Slowly at first, carefully, then faster. Ellie reaches her and wraps her arms around her. A simple embrace. Ellie begins to sob quietly against her mother's shoulder. Mrs. Pierce holds her tighter, placing one hand on the back of Ellie's head. Then she whispers, "It's over now." Ellie nods against her shoulder. A warm light begins to grow around them. Slowly, it covers them both. And then, everything fades to black. The end.